according to Nintendo, Linkle may appear in future Zelda games, and that's quite alright with me. So this is pretty cool news. I'm super excited to talk about this. Also, it's actually a pretty good chance for me to be able to kind of plug my girlfriend's brand new blog site that she kind of just set up, which is sort of tying into like a YouTube channel, sort of podcasting in the future, I believe. But I talked to her about this. She was okay with me kind of plugging this for you guys. She does have an article that she wrote very recently. That's kind of about the female perspective on the reveal of the character Linkle. I guess pros and cons. I don't want to kind of spoil too much about it. You should definitely go and read it. But again, as a female gamer and somebody who's a huge fan of Zelda, she wanted to talk about what it meant for Linkle to be revealed. I feel like it would be a very interesting read for a lot of people, fans of my channel, and of course, Zelda and Nintendo fans. There's a lot going on there. Pretty short read. I'm going to link it below. Feel free to check it out. Very excited to do that. So, no obligation, but I think it'd be pretty cool if some people were interested and wanted to see what my girlfriend, again, had to say about the female perspective about the reveal of Linkle, because it was pretty controversial, a couple weeks ago, if you guys remember. So, anyway, moving on from that, let's actually talk about the topic at hand. Really quick video for you guys. It was revealed today by Eiji Aonuma, who of course has been producing and directing Zelda games for quite a while now, 15 or so years. He mentioned that there is a possibility that Nintendo would consider Linkle for future Zelda games outside of the Hyrule Warriors franchise, which they're kind of calling it a franchise already, which right now it's technically only one game with a portable spin-off coming. I think it's not quite yet qualifying as a franchise, but that must mean that there's future installments planned, and I am totally okay with that because I flippin' love me some Hyrule Warriors. So Linkle, of course, was recently revealed, the female version of Link, or a female that is Link-like. You can debate that however you want to debate it. I think she looks fan-freaking-tastic. As I've said previously, I don't love the name, and that's a whole different conversation that I may or may not make a video on. But other than not liking the name, I think the character looks fantastic. I think she looks great for the game Hyrule Warriors. I think her combat looks awesome. Eiji Aonuma was saying in the quoted article where he discusses that she may have a little bit different of a feel than the traditional Zelda character or other characters in the game Hyrule Warriors, but not so different that she feels out of place, which is really exciting. And during development, they've been, kind of realizing that she could be a great character, and why not consider her for future possibilities in the Zelda universe. And what that means, we don't know. I mean, there's obviously two big possibilities. One is her own game. The other would be a Zelda game where you could pick to be a male or female Link. So you would be Link or Linkle within the same game and the same adventure. The other thing would actually be, it's weird, I guess, because it could be where they would make a whole Zelda-specific adventure where instead of just playing as Link the male, you would play that game as Linkle the female, as in replacing the Link that we know as a male, and that would be the, within that kind of universe of that game, Linkle would be the only Link that existed. Or it could be more of, I don't want to call it a spin-off or a side story because it might not be respectful enough to the character, but we don't really know the plans yet. But imagine, a world where just both Links exist, Link and Linkle, and Link has his own adventure, huge, AAA Zelda releases, and then Linkle gets her own, where she's not existing as a replacement to Link, but existing alongside of Link, just in her own adventure with a game starring just herself. If that kind of makes sense, the difference, where it's either the world exists with only one or the other, or the world exists with both, and maybe they both have their own branching adventures. I still like, as I've talked about this before, I like the idea of a game where you pick your own gender of your Link. I think that that's a fantastic way to do it. Maybe whether or not they would include a love story and how they would do it based on the genders, I mean, that's a whole different slippery slope that people could talk about, and that doesn't really faze me either way. I'm fine with them doing whatever they want to there. I just like the idea of you picking your gendered character, Link or Linkle, and making your game go accordingly. Also, the idea of, one grand Zelda adventure where you could pick genders, but you get a slightly different variation on the story and different, elements and story beats you hit throughout based on which character you choose. And if you choose the other character, you get almost a second playthrough with a different spin on the story and a different path where they split and maybe they converge throughout the story, kind of weaving in and out of their own adventures. Very similar to, I've made this comparison before, Resident Evil 6, which I know everyone hates that game. It's not so bad, and if anything, one of the strongest elements of that game was the story. It was the 4 different characters you could play as, and each character's story was different, but they would cross paths throughout, and you could play both sides of the story until they would meet at different points, and it was really cool. It was actually really well handled. Maybe they could do something like that. Or just, I think that I would not prefer it to be a one or the other thing. I like the idea where Link and Linkle are different people who coexist in the same Zelda universe. For me personally, that's the way I would prefer it. Not so much where there's either Link or there's Linkle, and you pick which one, and that's what you're doing, and each one is a replacement to the other. That could work. It's not like that would be the worst thing in the world, but I just really get down with the idea of they both exist, and here's a Link Zelda adventure, and here's a Linkle Zelda adventure, and, maybe they coincide with the other character, maybe they don't, there's a lot of cool things there. I really hope that something I hope they don't do, which I actually think they probably would do, or at least early on in exploring the Linkle character they might do, is just make really weird... I'm going to call this like a spin-off game, a one-off game, a portable game, something like how Triforce Heroes is like not a Zelda game, but it is Zelda at the same time. It's just not a traditional Zelda adventure. They might do stuff like that with Linkle, or just give her first adventure might be just a portable game, which again would be probably okay, and Nintendo makes great games and great Zelda games, so as a game it would be great. But I would like it if she's treated to her own full-fledged console adventure game, and it could even play very differently. Maybe Link's is a combination of like some combat, but a lot of puzzle solving and dungeon crawling like they kind of have been. And then maybe Linkle's gets more of the action heavy sort of focus. So it still has maybe some dungeon crawling and puzzle elements, but it's much heavier on the combat side, kind of like a Bayonetta sort of game. And maybe that's the kind of thing that she can do, because she seems way more action heavy and combat focused than Link does, which maybe probably sounds weird, but I actually do think that that's the case based on what we've seen from the gameplay trailer. So, obviously, long story short, there's a couple of different ways that they could approach this, but I like what I'm hearing. I like that they're considering this character. I think this character could have a bright future if they give her a detailed, storied past and history and actual character. She could be really fun, and obviously you can get away with like the bland, silent, flat character like Link has always been, where you're projecting yourself onto that character, provided the game around her would be great. But I'd like it if she becomes her own fleshed out sort of being, similar to what I hope they start to do with Link as well. I really hope both characters get that. And I think the character looks fantastic. Obviously, I haven't played her yet. I will be picking up the 3DS Hyrule Warriors because I want that game on any platform I can get it on. I'm just such a fan. And I want to play this character. They did say Linkle will become unlockable in the console version very soon, which I'm also very excited about, but I will happily pick up the 3DS version to check out Linkle first. I'm really excited to see what she plays like. She looks awesome. Hopefully there's some cool story elements that's added into the lore of Hyrule Warriors with her being included. And, like I said, I really love the idea of her being thought of for future Zelda games, or her own games outside of Hyrule Warriors. She seems like she could be a fantastic character, but it depends on what Nintendo does with her. So that's it. What do you guys think about this news? Are you excited about the idea that she could be included outside of the game? Are you not really a fan of her, so you don't want that to happen? Or maybe you're playing the wait-and-see approach until you can actually try her in Hyrule Warriors and see what she's like. A couple different angles, but I think it's pretty cool. Again, one final plug. Please feel free to check out my girlfriend's blog, which I have linked down below. I don't know if I said the name of it in the beginning of the video, but it's called Nerd Carousel. So I'm going to link that Linkle article below, that blog she wrote. Not super long, but she makes amazing points. She talks about Anita Sarkeesian and stuff a little bit. Very interesting, again. Female perspective on Linkle. I think there's some cool stuff going down there. So if you're into it, check it out, and see what that's like. So it's really great stuff. She's a fantastic writer. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I always appreciate it. Let's see what happens with Linkle in the future. This is Rob of Royalty Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.